Today's sponsor is Moomoo. More about them at the end of today's video. Let's talk about what's going on at the G20. It's like World Economic Forum has invaded the G20. So, you know, the G20 leaders, these are people who are mostly elected, right?
They are supposed to be elected.
They're supposed to be elected, right, when you go to the G20. Except if you're Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab, some of these other guys.
It's specifically an intergovernmental forum.
Yeah.
And so you are supposed to be an elected leader in order to join.
So can I just ask, who the hell elected Klaus Schwab? Did you? Did anybody in our chat elect Klaus Schwab? Did anybody elect Bill Gates? So they get to go and they get to lay out policy. What you really see is the supreme leader just showed up to deliver a speech. And they basically announced the new world order. The G20, here's your ruler, Klaus Schwab. Forget the Great Reset. Right, we've heard about the Great Reset, which is already in motion, is actively in motion. It's not a conspiracy theory at all. In fact, they wrote about it, promoted it, talked about it, and are actively unfolding the Great Reset. Now, though, the big roadblock and what his big concern is a new phrase called the Great Segmentation. The Great Segmentation. That's a big problem for Klaus Schwab, and this is why we are going to now need to move more towards a unipolar order where we have one unelected leader ruling everything. That's basically what he's asking for. Watch this.
Of course, if we look at all the challenges, we can speak about the multi-crisis. Economic, political, social, and ecological, and institutional crisis. But actually, what we have to confront is a deep, systemic, and structural restructuring of our world. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process. Politically, the driving forces for this political transformation, of course, is the transition into a multipolar world, which has a tendency to make our world much more fragmented. And for these reasons, events like this one, the G20, and so on, are the very important connectors to avoid a too great segmentation.
Too great the segmentation. So a segmentation.
Wasn't there, if memory serves, I'm 52 now. Well, I'm still 51, but I'm going to be 52. If memory serves, wasn't there another German person that wanted to kind of take over the world at one point in history?
Yeah, you're right.
Because that kind of sounds like this.
I don't think you were alive during that German person.
No, I don't think I was alive, but I think there's still
the math doesn't add up to that. You're still a baby.
So that's the great problem, right? The problem to Klaus Schwab's mind is that you as a sovereign country are in his way.
What happened to the woke left telling us diversity is a strength? Why is fragmentation a bad thing? Because
it gets in the way of their climate initiatives, right? Which is to get you off of eating meat, which moves us to a carbon neutral environment.
A synthetic existence
where your country maybe grew up, for hundreds of years, grew cotton or grew soybeans or grew coffee. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to tell you that under this new unipolar order, you're not going to grow soybeans. You're not going to grow coffee anymore because we've already figured that out. That's going to happen over here in Minnesota, in the United States. So it's not going to happen in your country anymore. Now, what you are going to do in your country is you are going to make, T-shirts or something. That's what's going to happen. Like we're going to make this unipolar economy.
That is quite literally the dystopic setting for the Hunger Games.
And that's what's happening. Like you're witnessing in action. Just look at what's happening in the Netherlands farmers, the Dutch farmers right now. Look what's happening in New Zealand with the farmers.
Yeah. District 12, you are coal miners. District 10, you're clothes makers.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right.
So stop doing these other things and you just need to stick to the coal mining.
It's like Alex Jones used to call this stuff out, and it was like happening in secret. Like they were having secret meetings and there was all this stuff going on. And he's like, we're going to their meetings. Like we're trying to shine light on, but now they're just outright doing it out in public. They don't give a shit anymore. They're just out here telling us their plan, and there are people backing it up.
Yeah. And not even just backing it up. Like, oh, that sounds like a kind of a fun idea. No, they're actively doing it, and not even just backing it up, actively putting it in place. I mean, all you need to do is just look at what the Democrats just passed with this Inflation Reduction Act. There's nothing about inflation reduction. All it is a big wet kiss for the World Economic Forum and this whole plan.
Yes, it's expensive. It will come at the expense of a lot of GDP. And so my question is, who's he talking to that doesn't already know this agenda? Is he saying things for us where we're like, oh, that sounds good. Everyone lives in harmony. We like that. We don't want to be fragmented. Or is he talking to the leaders in the room who are like, yeah, say this, massage this message so that we can implement it? Like, what's
it for? That's a good question. I mean, because he's not taught, like most people who, I mean, you're watching this show, so hopefully you are awakened. You're understanding like that these are the stories we follow. The mainstream media doesn't cover this. The mainstream media does not cover what the World Economic Forum is doing to people. They do not cover it. They cover it up. They're part of it. They're mouthpieces of it. Heck, Bloomberg Television has a whole green thing that they do. They have like Bloomberg Green, and they are literally interviewing people as part of this. They're part of it. It's all part of it. So
I think
I don't know who they're talking to.
Sometimes, I was gonna say, it's to save their asses. I think sometimes in the middle of the night they might do a blog post, or they might do like a little segment in a show, so that if anybody ever is like, CNN, you didn't do, like, they'd be like, no, well, we did. It's on page 97 of our blog down at the bottom.
Right.
In the middle of the night.
I don't know who's
who's in the audience, right?
Well,
is Biden there taking notes?
Anthony Blinken. Well, Biden's falling asleep. Biden's asleep during this. He fell asleep.
Although, I mean, how old is he now? He's 73, 74?
Biden?
Yeah.
Isn't he 78 or 76?
78. So for a man like that to travel to Bali and change so many time zones, that's really hard on the body. And so the fact that he didn't show up to that dinner last night, there's part of me, like, I feel jet lag like an actual pain. You think of adding 40 years, like, you know.
Well, so who knows who he's talking to? Is he talking? Well, let's unpack that a little bit more, because is he putting it out there? Is he saying this so that we all can say, wait a minute, these guys aren't doing this in secret. They're not secretly. It's all out there. It's available. We all had an opportunity to ring in on this. Like, are they doing it so we are able to go and look at this stuff? It's all on their website, by the way. When you go to their website, they daily post about this stuff. It's all right there. How they want us debanked, how they want us eating, how they want us to try to eat protein of insects. It's all on their website. This isn't conspiracy. Like, it's there right in front of you. Can read it in black and white on the World Economic Forum's website. You can read these things in the G20's minutes and what their meeting plans are. It's all right there.
Okay, actually, in the chat, they point out he'll be 80 next week.
Biden?
Yeah, his birthday is November 20th, so over the weekend he will turn 80. So okay. I was way off.
So why are Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab at the G20? Here's a tweet about this, good, from James Melville. It says, no one voted for these guys. And anyone who asks this question should not be dismissed as a conspiracy theorist. It's totally legitimate question to ask. Why is he driving this policy? Why are we giving over sovereign powers to these people? This is what's happening right before our eyes. Remember, and he was telling us just recently, remember, unless we're all vaccinated, no one will be safe. These are his words. Watch.
I think one lesson which we take out of this crisis is this notion of mutual interdependence. Because even as individuals, we had to take care not to infect someone else and not to be infected. And it's the same we have to apply now on a global level. As long as not everybody is vaccinated, nobody will be safe.
Nobody will be safe. Nobody will be safe.
Wait, how old is that?
That's a few months ago.
Well, it had to be during the pandemic.
Okay. Right. Which to their mind is still going on. So it's, yeah.
Right. I just was trying to figure out if that was like recently, like he's saying that like it's still that much of a threat to them.
But they absolutely want this to be the case. I mean, they're not hiding the fact that they want you to be actively up on getting a regular flu booster, COVID booster every year as part of your plan now. And this is actively what they're doing. But I just want to unpack this like great segmentation piece, because when you have China focusing on sovereignty, you have Russia focusing on their sovereignty and making sure that they are self-sustaining. Yes. with their minerality. Think about what they're doing with uranium, right? So the United States gets 50% of its nuclear power enriched uranium from Russia. 20% of all power in the United States is nuclear power. So all of the nuclear power either comes from Kazakhstan or Russia. So Russia enriches all of it and then hands it to the United States, sells it to the United States. They do all of it, all multiple processes. They do the discovery of it, the exploration, they pull it out of the ground, they enrich it, they refine it, they use it, and then they also sell it. We don't do any of that. So this idea of the unipolar is already unfolded. The United States has outsourced all of its industry, all of its industrialization. We're already seeing the deindustrialization of Europe as part of this plan. Outsource it, outsource the pieces that we don't want here. Right, take away the farms in the Netherlands. Yes, the greatest food producers in the world, second greatest food producers in the world, right? Or maybe is the Netherlands the number one food producer in the world?
Ranked how? What do you mean by volume?
By volume of food production
or efficiency? Yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's number one or number two.
McDonald's, but
so this is a roadblock for them then. If these countries want to say, no, we want our sovereignty, we want to protect our own people. Yes. We want to go local, and we want to do what's good for our own people.
Well, in fact, last week in the Washington Post, I believe, or the Washington Post, there was an article from the Prime Minister of Nigeria who had said, here, G20 is how you don't talk about oil and climate crisis in Africa. Don't tell us we can't use our own resources. Don't tell us that we have to suffer while you continue to consume, that we need to start to conserve resources when we're starting to build up our quality of life. We're not going to give that up so that you can continue your quality of life. Don't speak that way. And I thought it was a brilliant piece because that is what, so many of these wealthy countries say, well, the big polluters are, India and China, and it's not us, it's them. We should be able to sustain our form of living, and they need to learn to be cleaner. Well, they can only be cleaner by an increase in GDP. That's irrefutable. And so this idea of fragmentation you see now is going to be, yes, you're right, China, Russia, they're like, we're going to worry about ourselves. And Africa is absolutely moving in that direction. And that is a threat to these Western leaders who have attended the G20.
Well, you saw that the other day with India, right? So Biden flies into the G20, makes this deal with India about coal. Like, we're going to provide this if you get rid of coal production. Yeah. Because we want your country to go through these changes, and so that that you stop producing coal, and then now where are you going to get this? Where are you going to get your fuel? How are you going to power?
We don't want you to have easily accessible, and coal is awful for humans. It's awful for the planet. There are so many other cleaner energies, but you can't just take away what people have. If you give them affordable energy, they actually use that energy in order to build cleaner energies.
Right. Imagine nuclear power plants. Right. There we go. Like, actually.
This is undebatable. When people start to increase their quality of living and their income levels, they stop cooking in enclosed spaces, which is bad for their lungs, and they start to invest on healthier options for electricity and energy. These things are true. The data tells us this. So people who are, being brats and destroying things around European art galleries, they don't understand that they're actually advocating for poor people to live a harder life in order for wealthier people to continue to have electric Wi-Fi connected toothbrushes and not ever skip a beat. And it's incredibly elitist.
Well, another elitist moment happened yesterday too at the G20. This was an amazing moment. So there's a lot of like really interesting moments happening at the G20. This one was caught on camera, and boy, I'm sure the Canadian, I'm sure the Justin Trudeau government is not happy that this was caught on camera. So a few days ago, a short time ago, Justin Trudeau sat down with Xi Jinping of China and had a private conversation. It was an off-the-record conversation. It was not meant to be leaked to the press. So what did Justin Trudeau do? He and his lackeys then released what was discussed between he and Xi to the press.
I like that.
But they didn't give an accurate representation of the speech. In fact, they lied to the newspaper so that the newspaper runs basically a hit piece on Xi Jinping and tries to make Justin Trudeau, appear in favorable light. So it was garbage. What was actually said was not accurate. And so Justin Trudeau runs into Xi Jinping at the G20, and this, I transcribed it for you. This amazing moment happened. Watch.
Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first.
I just watch him walk away with his tail between his legs, like, I don't know where to go. I just got dressed down by Xi Jinping.
He leaves to go in private because he needs to recover from that, because that was a spanking.
That was a spanking. She's like, so what we talked about, you leaked to the newspapers, and it wasn't an accurate representation of our conversation. That's inappropriate. Like, when do you ever get to see a world leader? It reminds me of the movie Love Actually. Why that one scene with Hugh Grant and Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton plays the American president.
Right.
Hugh Grant plays the British prime minister. And he says, this relationship is actually not very good for us.
Yeah.
We'll be better about not having bullies in our own house. Like, that moment never happens. And everyone cheered, right? That doesn't happen ever. It's always cordial. We don't hear about it, right? Here we get to watch him get dressed down in public by the leader of China.
It's incredibly authentic. Like, I can't talk to you because you betrayed me last time and you leaked our conversation to the press, and not in an authentic way. So next time we're going to have some ground rules when we talk.
So people
Got
in the chat,
it, son?
People in the chat saying, please play that again. Please play that again. Yes, I want to see it again too.
You can find it on our Twitter feed, actually. So if you want to share it around yourself, you can go to twitter.com. Is it Redacted.inc?
The Redacted.inc is our Twitter feed.
Yes.
The Redacted.inc. Come over and follow us on Twitter there. So we shared it out. Please retweet it. Yes, I added the subtitles. I cut out some of the stupid stuff where where they're talking over each other, but just the important parts I made sure we had a full transcription of. So,
and his response to that is like, well, we're going to disagree on some things. It's not even relevant, right? If you say to someone, we had a private conversation and you violated my trust. And he's like, well, and he's referring to the content of the conversation. Like, yes, we'll disagree sometimes.
Right.
It's like, that's not what I'm saying.
We're going to disagree because we're going to put private conversations out publicly. Like, we might disagree on that.
Yeah. Next time we talk, there'll be some ground rules, kid.
Right.
Bye.
So let's watch this again.
everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first.
Womp womp. I have to go pee-pee now. Can I find the... I need to go
like, if
find
you listen to the context, he didn't even let the translator finish what he was saying before he started saying what he was saying. Like, he didn't even let him finish what he was saying. So
he's not used to being scolded.
Well, he's also looking at she, and she is talking, and she's saying something. He's going, which just proves he's a total actor. He's totally phony, right? The interpreter hadn't even spoken yet, and she is saying something to him, and he's going,
It's like Ricky Bobby didn't know what to do with his hands, but this guy doesn't know what to do with his body.
That's the wrong. I think is it Ricky Bobby? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's right.
But the other thing I wanted to say is about the Canada part of this, where he says, in Canada, we believe in fair, free, and open dialogue, which I wanted to say.
Between world leaders, aren't there plenty of secret things you told us that we can't see?
Well, yeah, and by the way, you're actively looking to censor your own people. Like, that's literally part of your plan right now. Like, your administration is actively censoring people in Canada. So we in Canada believe in fair, free, and open dialogue? No, you don't. You believe in dialogue that you get to
control.
That you get to control and put out. You don't want a back and forth. And clearly, if it comes back and forth, then we're going to put out a misrepresentation of what you just said. I thought you were against misinformation, Justin. I thought you were against disinformation, Justin. I guess so he releases a fake version of a transcript to the newspapers. It's okay for some people to release disinformation, just not the rest of us.
There's something about I'm never really that good at conflict when I'm with somebody in person, unless it's you.
I was gonna say, why are you good with conflict with me?
But for people I'm not familiar with, I take lesson from this, because he just kind of calmly said, "This is not appropriate. You betrayed me, and next time we're going to have ground rules," and walked away. And I am taking notes on how to say what you mean authentically and not get awkward and uncomfortable and then just walk away. So thank you for that, President Xi Jinping.
Yeah, Xi, thank you for teaching my wife how to conduct an argument.
I mean, sometimes we'll have, there's a contractor coming and Clayton's like, did they fix this thing? And I was like, I don't know, I let him go. He's like, what? Because I cannot confront people about anything. It took us 3 months for him to get here. We took all the scheduling, and then the one thing he was supposed to fix, you just let him go home? Because I can't. I
just didn't want to pressure him into it. I mean, that was the job.
Yeah, I'm total
he
crap
had one
about
job.
That. So
you think he's not going to pressure us into paying him?
I come downstairs and there's still water dripping through the roof. I'm like,
but they came.
That was the one thing. But he came.
I gave him a coffee.
That was the one thing he was supposed to fix.
10 years ago, one of the best trading platforms on the planet was created. Our show sponsor, Moomoo. They are celebrating their 10th anniversary, and they are giving away some free money. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but Moomoo is a $6 billion company with 18 million users around the world, and they have one of the best trading experiences to buy crypto, buy stocks, buy commodities with a very clean-looking, user-friendly application on Mac, Windows, Android, and iOS. The market right now, you already know this, is in the toilet, so why not take advantage of these free stocks by just opening up the account and making your initial deposit? You're going to get a 10th anniversary bonus because they're giving away a $10 bonus plus 15 free stocks valued up to $30,000 for a limited time. So just open your account and see if that works for you. Celebrate Moomoo's 10th anniversary with some free money. Get a $10 bonus and up to 15 free stocks valued at up to $30,000 for a limited time. How do you do this? You go to redacted.inc/Moomoo. Once again, redacted.inc/Moomoo.